Right. We have a juniper here, and this tree actually looks like it might be a little bit of heat stress. So I'm guessing that, probably toward the end of summer when, we did get pretty warm, looks like there was just, maybe in this case, it might have been actually the pot heating up too much. A lot of our junipers can take intense sunlight. But, what will happen is that sun will start cooking up the ceramic and the temperatures in your pot really get hot. And so these little types of brown tips, yeah, there's a bit of yellowing, but you notice it isn't that real bright yellow. This is more of a pale. So again, I think what I'm reading in this is a bit of heat stress. Talk about a rugged little tree though. Holy smokes. My wife and I, for years, we'd go up camping above Sequoia. And I'll tell you, you get up to some of those domes, and you see some of those really old Sentinel lodge poles. You'll see this cliffside come down, there'll be a ledge there, and there'll be a 50-foot tall tree that is just massive and rugged, but just minimal foliage. Man, I really, that massive trunk, the ruggedness of the trunk, even in this case, kind of the roughness of the foliage, it just really has a character to it that's sweet. So, the one thing I think, get this guy healthy again. Now, you do have some nice tips, and so I think you're probably on your way to recovery on this guy. But if it is stressed too, be careful now because be careful of overwatering. I mean, because again, sometimes we'll react and go, ooh, man, I really need to dump more in this. But the little bit of damage has actually slowed the tree's uptake of water. The branches too, the cutback was excellent. But the branches, a lot of them, are just a little tender. So I think, truthfully, I'd suggest don't wire this guy now. Allow this to set buds in the winter, and at this time of the year, and they're coming. Once we get past Labor Day, we should be able to look at our junipers down in the crotches and down in the bases of the foliage, and we should start to see the new buds coming in. And we do have that in here. So again, this tree is on its way to recovery. So if this filled out for you and got green over the winter, probably in the spring you could start laying this out. Now I think one of the things, I'd like to see your gins pared down a little bit more. It looks like you started to do the peel.
I just did them right here.
And absolutely continue this. Split this and start just peeling this, and you can start seeing your channeling following the grain is working up. If we could reduce the overall diameter and make that weathered look come out a little bit more, it would put these a little bit more in proportion with the trunk. But this tree then, I think this ultimately, I would tend to plant more upright because it's so strong. It just has such a powerful trunk. To me, when you start seeing the lean, it actually detracts from that strength. There's also some good qualities going on in this tree that we have to have a little patience with. These gins, the protruding elements, we would like to start connecting maybe some of those or adding some shari features to make this trunk even more dramatic. So at the base of these, there's going to be a little area of tissue collapse. So you can easily, and this one almost looks like it's flattened out and already done it to where this is probably inactive. So you could start exposing more of this. Same with here. It's probably going to be a little wedge here, but be careful because right between there, that could be lifeline. Now this would be a tree that in the future, if we could start using some of the dead areas and exposing some of that, the ruggedness and the lifeline component that we could bring out in here, man, what a statement of survival that this thing would have. The ruggedness of this tree too, I would really recommend, instead of looking for a bonsai pot for this, I really would love to see this on some sort of a rock. I mean, where the ruggedness of the container, the stone, would just reflect this too. And like I say, if you were able to find a rock with a couple of levels, where again you had that feeling of like a cliffside with a shelf, man, I can tell you exactly where to go above Lodgepole Campground and see the tree that's up on the cliff that would be there. There too, how lucky are we in California? Think of the country around us that we get to go and draw inspiration from. sorry about that. My signature bonsai at home is it's a grove of feminine junipers. They're not big, they're old, they're about, two oldest trees are getting around 75 years. They're on a granite slab. That was a group, it was planted as a forest. At the time I found where the tufa beds were out near China Lake, and there's some granite boulders out there. One year went out and was able to chip off some nice granite slabs. Well, my wife and I would camp up at Pear Lake above Lodgepole. In Pear Lake, there's a dome, and on that dome there's a stand of lodgepoles. That was so inspirational to me. When I finally found this slab, I went, oh, trees, slab, put them on there, combine them in this nice tight grouping, and it is very evocative of location. So when, you know, boy, get out, look in the woods, get out there, and I'll tell you, when I got involved in bonsai, when I go out in the mountains, I suddenly had a totally different experience. And I went to college in Colorado, and I lived in the mountains in the summer. I mean, I had buddies who did work for the Forest Service, and we'd go up in wilderness areas. I didn't do bonsai then, and you know what? I had zero appreciation for what was around me compared to what I do now. I used to walk a lot like this. When I'm walking now, I'm like this, and I'm looking, man, look at that tree, look at the rock, look at that underbrush. How did all that work together? The forest is talking to me constantly, and I come away with so much inspiration, and we have those reference points available to us, and when we use those for a bonsai, they really speak to other people too. So again, take advantage of where we live, because we have such wealth of inspiration around us.
We're going to take a short break.
Okay.
Well, take a break. We still